Dude, do you remember the first time we talked in Vancouver?
Yeah.
That was, I'm not gonna lie to you. Do you want to be honest?
Please.
I was so fucking nervous.
Why?
Dude, the whole night before, I was like,
What,
I can't.
with Nima and shit?
With Nima and shit. Do you remember when you were on tour?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we brought, so here's the thing. We brought
Everything to the hotel.
all the set, the whole thing to the hotel. So what happened was we're setting up, we're in the room for like 45 minutes until you guys came in. Dude, in that 45 minutes, I was like, this is it. I'm dying. Like, I'm having a heart attack.
I don't get why.
I don't know, man. I was just nervous.
Nemo's a big deal, eh?
Well, you and Nima.
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay, man.
Yeah.
Now you're the same. He's not nervous at all now? Or what?
No, I
You're the
mean, a
same?
little bit, but.
A little bit?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Well,
Come on.
Do you remember calling me a bimbo? You're like, yeah, you sound like a bimbo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I literally said that to Nima yesterday. We were on a call. I'm like, yo, I'm on a podcast with Mo tomorrow. He's like, who's that? I was like, I'm like, you remember the guy who fucking sounds like a man whore? And then right away he starts fucking, he's like, oh my God. Yeah. Like we started dying, dude. He's like, tell him I say what up, man. So he says hello. Yeah, I feel like this jersey was a bad call.
Why, dude?
I have to
you
sit
sweating?
straight the whole time. No.
Well, no. I thought you were going to go shirtless underneath.
Are you fuck?
Dude, you should.
You know,
just go shirtless, please. Please, dude.
Dude,
I'm telling
people
you.
will die. They'll be like, what is happening?
I saw some shit this morning that pissed me off.
Let's get into it.
It's so bitchy
Right.
in the grand scheme of things. But
Yeah,
I want to
well,
know your thoughts on it. Like, am I being insecure? I am being insecure, but
Maybe.
Yeah.
Are we already going?
Yeah, we're rolling. Dude, I don't do intros.
Oh, fucking
remember?
sick.
Did I do an intro last time or no?
I don't know.
I don't think I did. It's just weird. It's like, oh, enjoy 24.
Yeah, no, I was just like, fuck, I've been dicking with this and like swinging it around. So now that we're locked in, okay, should we open this?
Yeah, go for it.
I could use a little.
I've already cracked it.
I've heard these have like fucking, they get you going.
My heart's beating pretty fast with this right now. I don't know if it's
I've had an espresso
nervousness.
today already too. Ooh.
So a girl I was seeing, not long.
Oh.
You know when you see something, it's like, oh, we're in it. Like your anxiety just rises.
Right,
and you're
right,
just
right.
like, okay, we're in it now.
Yeah.
Basically, I saw her follow someone that I'm not a fan of. And she told me that she wasn't a fan of either, but they ended up following each other.
Right.
So as soon as
was it me? Did she started following me?
I know, dude, I wish it was
Imagine.
you. Could you imagine?
That'd be fucked. She's like, she started following you, bro. It's a fucking mess.
But not even that, she also commented on his photo. And then
Right.
as soon as I saw that, it's like heart rate goes up,
Right.
anxiety, stress rises,
Of course.
and now you're in it. Is that bitchy?
I mean, well, define bitchy. Like, does that make
Like-
you a bitch? Is what you're saying?
Like feeling insecure as fuck.
Well, I mean, does she like this dude? Was he like a threat?
She definitely, I know for a fact, thinks he's good looking.
Well,
Like I
yeah.
know this for a fact.
Dude, in the end, dude, there's a lot of good looking guys around. If my wife started liking your shit, I'd be like, look at this guy, bro. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? If you start getting hung up on stuff like that, it's just going to eat you forever.
Have you ever been sensitive and insecure about
Yeah,
women?
of course. But
Before your wife, I mean, even
look at me, bro. I'm like 350 pounds.
no.
My wife follows fucking models and shit. She opens her phone. He's shredded. I've got asses bouncing on my phone. What are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Really?
Of course. Buddy, when I honestly, dude, I know buddies that like have separate accounts that are just like dust accounts so they can just follow girls and just watch twerking all day. Cause they're like, their For You page is just asses, like as far as you can swipe. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't do that. I'm like, listen, I watch porn. You don't think there's asses all over my Instagram? Like, come on. You know what I mean?
No,
You
I
know?
hear you.
Like, you know that girl who is with Jake Paul?
Oh, dude. Rocket.
Unbelievable, right? I was following her well before that. So when she started dating him, my wife was like, who is this girl? Like, she's with Jake Paul. I'm like, oh yeah, she's a Olympic speed skater. She's like, how do you know that? You don't watch speed skating. I'm like, come on. Look at her. What do you think? I don't follow her?
You know what I
I feel like I've been following this girl for years. You know what I mean? The same thing.
She's cool with it.
We're married. We have a kid. Was she going to leave me for Justin Bieber? If she had the option, maybe, but she doesn't have that option.
Right. One thing about you, I don't know if you hear this a lot, and I've kind of noticed, I don't know you well,
Right.
but you seem very wholesome.
Like a lady who serves you at a diner.
Yeah, just sort of like peaceful.
It's because I
wholesome
have fat triceps. What it is.
Have you always been like that, or is it like
I don't know.
do a lot of therapy, or like just
No,
just,
I don't do any therapy. I should. Like I've gone and they're like, why are you here? It's a fucking funny story. I don't know if I'm going to go off on that, but do you?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. I can't tell you like,
No,
look at
100%.
yeah, no, I went to therapy once and like the lady after a while was like, can you just sit in? She's like, I have a group therapy session after this. I'd like you to sit in and just, you'll know what I mean. I was like, okay. Dude, we sat in and people, now I don't want to knock anyone who's been through traumas. If you got your trauma, it is what it is, obviously. But this one particular individual got into a small car accident. Car was fine. Everyone was fine. She was just bawling, breakdown. I can't drive. I can't get behind the wheel. It's been 3 years, 4 years, whatever, right? Everyone in this scenario had pretty minor, I'm going to call them minor traumas, okay? People are going to roast me online for being like, oh, dramas are dramas. I get it. But wait, like after she was like, listen, see what people are going through? They need this. If they don't do this, they can't function. They can't wake up. They can't do things. They're like, you're doing things. You're like, you don't need this. You know what I mean? They're like, you want someone to talk to, like to give you unsolicited advice on certain things. And I was looking for like ways to cope with, if you're in a rut or something, or like, like you said, we start doing spiraling thoughts. She likes a dude's post. Next thing you know, you think she's getting gangbanged on Friday nights. You know what I mean? Like it's very easy. Sorry, but it's very easy for us to go there in our mind in relationships. 100%. And girls don't get where our brains go in like 2 seconds. So I'm like, okay, I need triggers to help me not go down the full spiral, Right. Like I don't want to go down the slide every time, And she was just like, yeah, what you're doing is right. Meditation, positive affirmations, this and that, making sure that you're, do whatever you do to put yourself in a positive, mindset.
Right. You know what's crazy though, man? Like that whole like you spiral and your thoughts go to like dark realms.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, those things could be true. Like it could happen.
Of course.
But that's the part where it's scary.
That's the spiral. That's the beginning of the slide. You're like, yeah, but she could be.
Like it very well could be happening.
Of course. Yeah. It's happened where it's happening. Do you know what I mean?
To me, because gangbanging is a real thing and getting gangbanged is real.
We're going down your spiral right now.
Right.
You're like, she liked that guy's post. She folled him. And now he invited her to a gangbang. And here we are. Yeah.
Because I remember like when we were seeing each other, she would always used to like go out. Like she loved going out. That was her thing. And that to me, red flag right away.
She's not allowed to have any fun.
No.
She's got to stay home. I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
It's a different type of fun.
Yeah, exactly. And like she's younger too, so I get it. But to me, like, I don't know. I guess it's if it's a guy thing, but like my mind would just go into places like, okay, she's getting gangbanged, or there's like, she is like minimum she's making out with a dude in the club. Minimum,
right.
No chance she's not.
She probably feels the same way. I mean, that's if she's insecure. But if she's not, well, if she is, she thinks you're doing the same thing.
If I was to go out,
yeah, because you look like you go out.
Do I really?
Oh, yeah. Like, you strike me as a guy, if tonight, you're like, bro, tonight we're going out, I would be nervous. Like, you know what I mean? I'd have to call one of my buddies who, like, goes out and be like, bro, you got to come with me because he's going to want to go to places that I don't even know about. He looks like he does all these drugs and, like, has a good time. You don't look like you do a lot of drugs.
No.
Like, but you know what I mean? But you like, it looks like, you've been to a couple raves and you like to fucking, you indulge in a couple beers in the nose and stuff,
You know what's crazy? I've never done that.
Never done any blow?
No.
Really?
No.
That's great.
It looks like I've done every drug in the book.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, I don't know. I'm just...
It's very deceiving.
Yeah, very deceiving. My mom put the God of fear in me. Fear of God.
Yeah, I got you.
God of fear.
The God of fear.
Yeah. Did you ever go out?
I mean, I go out, but like, I started comedy so young, dude, where like, I was getting booked on weekends. And then what? Like, I'm out till 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning anyways. Then when you meet up with people and they're already fucking blackout, right. What are you doing? Have you ever partied with people and you're the sober guy? You're like, this is the worst thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to be there from the start and kind of, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
no, going out sober is like top 5 worst ideas you could do. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'd rather die. I'd rather put a needle on my dick hole than be out here right now. Dude, is this hitting you right now?
Yeah, it's hitting me, bro. My fucking arm's starting to shake, and I'm like, what's going on here? Let me read this before I finish it. Because I'm more so thirsty than I am like wanting caffeine.
Do you want water?
Oh, is that your water?
Yeah, it's my water.
You have water? Yeah, may I? I'm like, because I'm chugging this, and there's like barely, I'm like, fuck. Appreciate it. But what, because you're not the first person to tell me this wholesome. So many people decide to be like, oh, for some reason I feel like I can just open up with you. Is it because I look jolly? A lot of people tell me I look like Santa Claus.
No, dude, you know what it is? Like,
Sorry, I got my arm out like as if dude, I'm telling you, this fucking shit, it's kicking in.
you're tweaking. You're just
I'm tweaking. Just gonna help me lose some weight. Thank you very much.
Dude, you know what it is? I don't know. I think this is gonna sound so sus, but it's something in your eyes, man. It's something in your eyes. Like when you when you look at someone, you're like, oh yeah, I want to punch that guy right away. Like right off the bat, right off the rip, you're like, this guy's energy. I want to
40% of people I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with you, it's like, oh, this guy's a gentle, kind soul. Even though you're cooking like Asians and Persians on just absolutely cooking.
You're cooking Asians online. That's fucked. I don't do that, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
But it's so like.
I do that, I guess. I do it on stage a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why when I do it on stage, like people are like, oh, don't do accents. I'm like, trust me, the way I do it, I'm not gonna, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know these people.
Do you know that you're like a nice, like, do you get that a lot, that you're wholesome?
I do get it a lot. I mean, I don't walk around and be like, I'm a nice guy. You know what I mean? Obviously, because that's fucking weird. But yeah. I think that's the only reason why I'm married is because I'm a nice guy.
Just even, that's what I mean. Like even with your like wife and your family, like you're just so like, oh,
they
so
just call me a bitch. That's it. Really? Yeah. When people call you a bitch for so long, you're like, I think they just are pissed off that I'm nice. You know what I mean? What's the point of being a dick? I don't get it. Like I know so many people that are just angry and like, in a different state all the time, whether it's fear or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm. Why do you think people are so angry? And just,
I mean, it's so easy to be angry. Meaning there's so many things to be mad about. Do you know what I mean? Groceries, gas, traffic. Like yesterday when you're like, bro, it took me 2 hours to get downtown. Yeah, that's why today at 9 a.m., I'm like, I'm going to be late. I should have left already. Do you know what I mean? Because you're at the doctor's office. You're like, my appointment's for 9. Yeah. It was 9:15. I'm like, what's going on back there? Like, there's no one here. You know what I mean? Mm. What's the point of the appointment? I don't understand. That's like, we're supposed to be seen now. That's why I was here at 8:45. So now I've been here for an hour. No one's seen me. I'm late. You know what I mean? Then I'm like traffic. Then you just get angry. Then, if I keep that all day, then I'm going to be angry all day.
Right. So let me ask you, does your mind ever go to this? Like, let's say you're in traffic. You're like, oh, fuck this traffic. I can't do it. And then somehow, some way, your mind spirals into, fuck, I'm such a piece of shit.
That's crazy.
I'm the worst comedian of all time. I haven't done shit with my life. I'm this and that.
Right.
Does it ever get there? Because some people I feel like can, fuck this traffic. I hate this. I want to shoot my head off. Boom. That's it. That's all I'm going to be worried and thinking about.
Right.
But for me personally, from like my own experience, yesterday when I was in traffic, when I messaged you, it went from, holy shit, this traffic is a nightmare to, Mo, what are you doing in Toronto?
Right.
Mo, what are you doing for a day in Toronto? And is like, what the fuck is this podcast thing you do? You know what I mean? It went from traffic to that.
Right. Dude, 100%. I mean, when you said it at first, I was like, you're insane. But, when you build the other two middle steps, absolutely. Where you're like, why am I even here? What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. Happens all the time. You're always weighing out if what you're doing is worth it. And then, putting worth on things. And then you put a worth on the overall thing that you're doing, like the whole journey per se. Happens all the time. Like I was in LA and, 2-3 people bailed on me for like collabs and shit. I was like, okay, well, there's 3 days burned, Now what? I'm going to be eating fucking poke bowls by the beach, getting ripped. Like, that's not why I'm here. And the same thing. You're like, am I even supposed to be here? This is LA. This is where shit happens. And now nothing's happening. And then the more time you spend in LA, you're like, oh, everyone bails. The whole thing is one giant, everyone's just going with the flow. You know what I mean? Bullshit. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, like if you were to cancel this morning, like just out of like an hour before, I'd be like, okay, I want to die.
Could you imagine?
I want to die.
I should have done that.
Dude.
As I was coming up the elevator, like, hey, brother, listen, my kid. That's why I was so mad that I was late. I'm like, if you were a local dude, maybe I would have been like, hey, man, can we reschedule? You know what I mean? But the fact that you're from BC, like, no way, bro.
No, yeah.
That would have been the worst.
Dude, I would have been like, okay, so
the most unwholesome
I'd be okay to
comedian ever.
just not be alive right now. You know? Do you ever, like, before you post a clip or go on stage, do you ever get that doubt creep in? Like, because you have this motivation, this fire to do it, and you're like, yeah, this is gonna be it. But then I don't know what it is, man. There's like a flip in the switch where this overwhelming feeling of doubt and like negativity just comes into you, and you're just like, whoa, what is that? And then you kind of
Right. Now, are you saying that for this, like for podcasts, or
just
for me in general?
in general, I mean, like anything really.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude. Like, but for stand up, I've been doing it for so long where like, you know, when the feeling is going to start coming. So like, I'm on the way to the show, everything's fine. And then I see a full audience and I'm like, fuck, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, you know, then it starts coming. Then all of a sudden you got to shit and you're like, oh my God, I'm getting cold. You know, your whole body starts going through this pre-show paralysis and you're like, that's it. I don't know why I do this. And then I start doing that. I'm like, I don't know why I do this. I'm not even funny. Like, what am I talking about? I'm gonna start with a dick joke. What are you doing? Like, people paid $30 or to see you, and you're gonna talk about your dick. Like, you know what I mean? You start, you know,
Yeah.
and then you go on stage and you're like, see, it was fine. Nothing's ever as much as you make it out to be.
Because at the end,
in both ways,
it's just
you know?
thoughts. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. They're not even real. They're not like tangible things, right?
Yeah. Nothing's ever as good as you think it's gonna be, or as bad as you think it's gonna be. I notice.
Were you nervous before a Vancouver show? First night?
Yeah. Do you want to know why that is?
Please.
I have a lot of friends out there, friends and family.
Okay.
When friends and family come to see me, dude, I can't stand it. Like, I've banned my mother from shows for life. I'm like, if you're gonna come, don't tell me. Don't sit where I can see you. Don't say hello to me. Show up, watch the show, and leave. And don't ever even tell me that you saw the show. Like, not even tomorrow. Don't be like, hey, last night you were great. I will want to run into a wall and just kill myself. You know what I mean?
Why though?
I can't do it because I know that, like, family specifically, they're going to judge bits. Like, for example, if I do a bit about my grandfather, I have this joke about my grandfather wearing my clothes. Maybe you've heard it.
I remember that, yeah.
Right. So he wears some of my clothes. Now, some parts of that joke, he didn't wear my shirt in that moment. Some parts he did. You know what I mean? Like, my grandfather was wearing my Biggie shirt when he was cutting the grass. He was wearing a Tupac shirt when he was on the roof. Like, now, people in my family are going to go, A, did that even happen? Because I live with them, they don't, right? And you know, I've adjusted the voice of my grandfather a little bit to a funnier voice than what he actually sounds like, you know? So right away, my cousins or my mom or whatever, they go, well, no, doesn't sound like that. And they're in the audience going, hey, wait a second. No, doesn't sound. Like, they're yelling. Like, my mom has been at shows and is yelling at me, being like, that's not true. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, they don't know, so shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? And then people, if that happens, people then assume that I'm making the whole story up, you know, rather than, you know, I have to explain to my grandparents that if I were to, for example, let's say me and you get into an argument outside,
okay,
and I try that on stage. If then 5 shows later, I've switched you out and replaced you with my brother or my uncle or my mom that makes that joke better, I'm going to do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
And then my mom will be like, well, that wasn't me. That never happened with me. I'm like, it doesn't matter. The character of you in the story made the story better and it made it funnier. So that's what I'm doing.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like the crafting of jokes, they don't understand. And they mix that with the reality of what I'm actually talking about.
Okay.
And it bugs them. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Or it's in my head being like, they're going to critique what I'm saying and really try to find the truths and be like, oh, I see. Now, sorry, I'm rambling a lot. This is the caffeine. You did this to me.
Dude, is it that
For sure.
legit?
For sure. You crushed like 4 of these a
Dude,
day?
I crushed the Americano this morning and this.
That's fucked.
I'm fucking toast.
So my brother will come to shows. Now he comes to a lot, and my sister's same. So they understand. They're like, oh, I see what you did there. You took out Nunno in this part and you put in Dad, even though that happened with Nunno, but it's funnier with Dad. You know what I'm saying?
Which is fine. It's not a big deal.
It's fine, but people then start to, you know, really nitpick the truth of what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
When they don't understand that jokes are like truth with like some salt and pepper covered in mayo and mustard. You know what I mean? You're making a fucking sandwich here, you know?
Yeah.
So in Vancouver, a lot of friends and family and cousins I haven't seen in fucking years. So when they're coming and it's a theater show and the last time they saw me, I fucking ate it. You know what I mean? So they're like, buddy, you stink. Why am I even coming? You know what I mean? Now they support because they support, which is great. Love them. They're the best. But when I come there and then they start seeing me do shit, they're like, buddy, we know your grandfather. That's not, there's no way he did that. And I'm just like, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It pisses me off.
But if it's that, then it's whatever. I think it's just like, if they're like, oh well, dude, it's not the story you're giving isn't, you know,
right.
correct. But like, it's like, who cares? Was it funny or not? Like, don't give me if it was accurate or not. Like, I don't give a shit.
Well,
like,
and that's where in my head, like, you know, a lot, like for me growing up, like my family, they're all in construction for most part, you know, they're all trades, you know, so taking the road of comedy was like a, what the fuck are you doing? So it's been a constant, like, I have to prove, no, I'm doing this. No, I'm good at this. No, I make money at this. Like, even now, buddy, I'm like 32, 33. Fuck. I'm 33. I've been doing this for 13 years. And they're still like, bro, like, when are you going to give this up? Like, you're not Kevin Hart. It's like, hey, bro, I make a living at something that I love doing. You make a living laying bricks. If you love that, good for you. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so like I'm constant when they come live, I feel like that's my moment to have to be like, okay, great. Now I have to turn it on even more, or like be in my head about something else. I'm already in my head because my shirt's too tight. My fucking, you know, I was late. I got to take a shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm nervous about a new joke I'm working on. You know, you're nervous about 10,000 things. So now I got to be extra nervous because I have to make sure that I make my cousin think that I'm funny still. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you.
It's stupid.
Yeah, I hear
or
you.
prove to my dad that like I am good at this again. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
It's bullshit.
Do they say that shit to you? Like, oh, you're 33, Mark. Like, what do you?
Buddy, like a week ago.
Man, I don't. That doesn't. I don't care. I don't know, man. I don't care who says that. I don't care if it's my mom and she wants the best interest in me. It's miss me with that, bro. I don't like. My uncle actually did that to me about 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. He was, and he's the Persian guy that says, "Oh, what are you doing? You're not doing investments, this and that. Are you real estate?
Oh yeah, real estate the best,
dude." You know, he hit me with, "Oh, what are you doing on your off days? You're talking these whores and comedians on your podcast. Like, what's up with that? Like, it's just like, dude." And it just comes from a place
talking to whores on your on your off days.
No, because I had a couple of OnlyFans chicks on, and he just automatically went to right, and
they don't get it, dude. They're relics,
you know. And for him, it's like I see where it's coming. It's from a place of projection because he didn't really live up to whatever he wanted to do, and I'll say that fucking, you know, overtly, but
come on, buddy, what you were doing?
I love the guy, but it's just. Dude, that to this day, I haven't even talked to him. You're okay with it? I mean,
like you said, it depends where it's coming from. Like my grandmother, dude, she's 86. Like she lived through the war. Like what? Like, do you know what I mean? When she, like literally last week, and it's because I live with her. She sees what I'm doing, but like she doesn't associate what I do with work. Like me and Austin and our buddy Blake there, we're working on a TV show. So we have these writing calls all the time. So she sees us laughing on Zoom for like 5 hours. And then she's like, okay, that's enough. Like, go do work. And you're like, I am working. Get away from me, right? And then when it's over, after dinner, she goes, listen, my friend, they work at Remax. They're going to put you in there to give you a nicer job. And I'm like, I don't need a job. I'm not, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And then sometimes you let that creep in your mind. And then I have to explain to her, oh, I just landed a brand deal with Guru Energy Drinks. They're going to pay me this amount of money. And she goes, see, that's not bad. You need at least 25 more of those. And you're like, what? Like, it's just never enough. So I have to get it through my head that, like, I'm always at a loss with these people. You know what I mean? Like, with my uncle, with some other people, like, I just have to accept the fact that they're never going to understand what I'm doing, how it works. Like, you know, my cousin, you know, he's like, he understands. He's a young kid, social media. And he's constantly telling my uncle, he's like, we got to get Mark in here, do some stuff. Like, it works. And my uncle's like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean he's going to do videos for us and like promote our brand? Like, why? Yeah. It makes no sense. He's a comedian. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like,
they just don't get it.
They don't understand that side of life. You know what I mean? Or like the new age of things. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. Now, my parents, it pisses me off because like they don't like what I'm doing unless their friends think that I'm funny. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I see.
Like my mom and dad, like they'll always, you know, I don't want to say they don't support me. Like they do and all that shit. But like, you know, my dad will be like, hey, listen, so there's an opening at my company. You should, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. And I have to walk him through it. I gotta be like, okay, Dad, you understand you offering me a job position is undermining what I'm doing and is telling me, brother, stop comedy and get into sales. He's like, okay, why always go there with that? Like, I'm just saying, like, you should try to, like, it's extra income. You could still do it on the side. I'm like, see, now you're telling me to put comedy on the side when, like, I don't even have the time to take a piss. I have a fucking kid. I'm doing renos. Like, you think I can all of a sudden start selling laptops for your company on the side?
Yeah, yeah.
So people like you. They want to hear you talk. Imagine you start showing up in Vaughan selling them laptops. I'm like, yeah, they think I'm failing at what I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't get that.
Because it's like, why are you telling me this if you don't think I'm doing well, you know? Like,
exactly. And then, but when his friend sends him a video and goes, look at this video. And then he goes, yeah, that's my son. Then all of a sudden he's prideful. He goes, buddy, people think you're hilarious at work. They love it. They think that you look like me and it's great. Like, you know what I mean? Then he starts being like, keep doing what you're doing because my friend thinks you're hilarious, you know? And I'm like, well, did you tell your friend that you offered me a job in this shithole like 2 days ago? I just think you should make extra money on the, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. So, yeah. One thing, like when you were telling me this, like it's a kind of a good segue, not really, but like, man, as a guy, because I do therapy, I see a therapist, and like a lot of things, man, that men have to go through, I think everything's performative. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm gonna air myself out here, but like last week, dude, I was down bad in terms of like the general down there. Oh, like okay. It was just non-existent. I'm so sorry, by the way, for it was I was pulling rope, man. I was pushing rope, pulling rope. Like it was not happening.
With girls.
With a girl, yeah.
Okay.
Like it was just
brutal.
It's one of the worst. I left thinking
it's the worst.
The worst.
The worst. Top 5.
And you know what, man? It's like I talked to my therapist like immediately the next day. I'm like, I need to come see you. Like,
is your therapist a male or female?
He's a male. Yeah. Great guy.
Imagine it was a female.
Dude.
Listen, last night I was pulling rope. She'd be like, it happens. Like,
buddy,
know what I mean?
I was kicking sand. Like it was not happening, right? Mm. You know, it's just like, because for me, I don't know about you, but like when I'm in my head, it's over with. I don't care,
dude.
I don't care if it's Kim K or Margot Robbie in front of me. It's done. Done, dude.
Yeah, you're finished.
And
I'm getting hot just thinking about it. Because I've been in that scenario, and I'm like, buddy, this is top 5 the worst. And then their responses, oh my god, don't even go there. I'm gonna get angry. No, don't. You can keep going.
Okay, but
feel free.
So I'm not gonna like rinse this because
I'm gonna send this to my wife after.
Okay. Has it happened with?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
What's your immediate reaction? Like, is it like, oh,
you're like this?
I'm the worst. I'm not a man by any means.
My dick's broken, bro. Dude, like, I don't know. This just never happened. You pull one of those?
Yeah, you know what I did? I chalked it up to the fact that I jerked off twice earlier that day.
Did you?
No, I jerked off twice the day before. So but then she would have been like, well, you had a day to recuperate, but I didn't. But I did. But like, it's toast.
Fucking funny, bro.
Yeah.
You know what? Also, like, side note, it blows me away how much girls don't know we jerk off. Like, girls are like very oblivious to how much we all jerk off.
A lot.
Sorry, again. She's like, buddy, I've got Spotify on. She's not even listening to us.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's crazy, dude. Like my wife was blown away when we first like were living together, and one of her friends, like she overheard me talking to her friend's husband, and I was like, we were talking about jerking off. I'm like, buddy, no, because he had a kid at the time. I didn't have a kid. I'm like, hey, with a kid, like you still putting up the same numbers? And he was like, yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, where, how? You know what I mean? He's like, you'll figure it out, right? And my wife's like, you never jerk off. And I started dying, dude. And I was like, every day. And she was like, where? When? I'm with you all the time. I'm like, now, I don't know about you, but like, if I'm jerking off, like maintenance jerking off, it's like at any time in seconds if needed. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy to just get it done, you know? And she doesn't understand that there's maintenance jerk off versus like, you know, let's make this
experience. Let's make this an experience.
Let's make this a time. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's very funny. But anyways, back to what you're saying.
Back to also one thing on that, dude. Memory jerks hit different.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't have many of those, but I don't have many memories to jerk from. You know what I'm saying? So, but dude, it's wild.
No, it's wild. It's crazy. Like
So what'd your therapist say about this?
Dude.
And I wasn't bashing people that go to therapy earlier, by the way.
No, dude.
It's hard to find the right therapist. Did you go through a few?
A few, yeah.
Before you found somebody that you're like, okay.
That's the thing with therapy. Like, you need to find the person that like jives with you and like you can relate to.
Yeah.
And typically like the therapist will tell you, hey, if you don't feel any different after 3 sessions, I'm not the therapist for you.
Oh, okay.
Unless they want to take your money and they just say, oh, we'll come back, this and that. We got to unpack this and that. But yeah, so back to my thing, dude. I went to therapy the next day, like pronto. I need to figure this out because,
of course,
you know, I was at the point where if she told me to bend over and she was gonna peg me, I would let her do it. That's how funny, small dude. I felt, dude. I felt like a pussy bitch.
I know people that just do that all the time. All the time. Dudes that do that for fun, and I'm like, anyways, moving on.
And man, I don't know, therapy, it didn't really. It was just kind of one of those things where it's like, well, it happens a lot to a lot of men. Of course,
yeah.
And you know what he said to me? Fuck, this kind of pissed me. Well, it didn't piss me off, but I gotta like learn to like embrace it. He's like, Mo, you're one of those guys that you are very emotional and sensitive, and some dudes have a mind of their own with their dick, but you are connected. It's all connected. Like if you're emotional and you get in your head, it's over. Like,
of course.
I forget about it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people like that. Every guy I know that it's happened to, even guys that I know that are like just ruthless and they fuck like 6-7 times a week, which is miraculous numbers. But when they're doing that, like, and they're just going through like 2-3 girls on a Saturday, which I'm like, you know, I bow down to these dudes. But when they sit, like, it even happens to them and they just, you know, it's kind of like when you bomb on stage, you got to get back on stage as quickly as possible to get over that. You know what I mean?
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think, dude, because he basically said, in other words, he basically said, Mo, you're not that guy.
Hilarious.
You're not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy, pal. I'm not.
Yeah, you're not the guy that just...
I'm not the fuck boy, savage. Like,
look and sound like it, though. I'll tell you that.
Do you think, dude, that's the way, like, you see with this, like, toxic masculinity, Andrew Tate, alpha male type shit?
Yeah.
Is there still a place in this world for, like, nice, emotional, sensitive guys?
I mean, buddy, I'm right here. No, I'm joking. I feel like it's too... Social media puts out the worst of both. You know what I mean? Like, there's girls I follow online that I'm like, you are the worst version of this feminine movement. And then for toxic masculinity, I'm like, you are the worst version of this. Both of them have great points and make sense. But then when you actually get off socials and into the real world, and like 90% of people are not either side of this, do you know what I mean? I feel like there's way more of a common ground. Now, I obviously do think that there's, after seeing my wife give birth and all this kind of stuff, there's shit that women go through that are like on another level, like different shit that we'll never have to obviously experience, but same on our side. So I feel like both parties got to see the other side a little bit, but I don't think that's ever going to happen the way social media presents both sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, man, because like, don't get me wrong, I can turn into demon mode and
yeah, everybody can. Yeah. No, you were asking me if there's a place in this world for guys like us.
Yeah, just
no, for sure. And I think that needs to be the case, because if we're all fucking Andrew Tate, then we're gonna recess 100 years. You know what I mean? You know, like, we need people on both sides of the spectrum to understand each other a little bit more. Right. You know what I mean? Like, even Andrew Tate, you know, he talks about being a good dad. Like, there's an emotional side to this guy. I think he's just standing up for the overly, let's call it overly alpha side of things, because it seems to be that side of men is just withering away to these guys that get pegged. And you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that going on, you know, but it's happening on both sides. You know what I mean? So
yeah, there's definitely a lot of like cuckiness going around.
It's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous.
What's some of the like cuckiest shit you've seen, or like experiences of like people around you where a guy just
honestly, I
don't know if you have any.
I'm trying to think of some, but like guys that are in like poly relationships, I'm just like, brother, you're just not okay with it. I know you're not. Yeah. Stop trying to be this. Like, sure, if you're dating a girl who's like, you know, she's a free spirit, poly this and that, and you both are, great. But if you're actually not, but you just love this girl and have no other fucking option, you're a fucking loser. You know what I mean? Like, I know a couple guys that are like that are in relationships. She's fucking all sorts of people. He's fucking nobody, but he's like, yeah, no, like it's cool. Like, you know, I fuck other people too. And I'm like, but you don't, because you're with me as she's out and we ain't going nowhere that you're fucking. So unless you're lying to me, you know, you're just with her because you actually love her and she doesn't, it's not the same back. You're just along for the ride. You know what I mean? So that to me is just straight cuckiness.
Yeah, I hear you. If your wife one day was like, I'm leaving you for LeBron James.
Right. Be furious.
What would you do though? You know, like how would you internalize it? Like the moment she says that, it's like, James. Okay, it's coming at me.
I'm fighting LeBron James.
Yeah.
No. But what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
It's like my biggest, it's
your biggest fear?
I'm probably insecure as hell. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Right.
I'll say it.
No, but here's the thing. Who's not? You know what I mean? Everybody has these thoughts, you know? Like, what am I going to do? My wife goes, okay, I'm leaving you for LeBron James. He says he's down. I'd be like, okay, bro, see you later. Like, we have a fucking kid. I'm taking the kid then. You know, if you're fucking off for LeBron James, my kid's not going with LeBron James. I'll tell you that right. You know what I mean? Like, you know? So, like, I got to stop looking at things from, like, having a kid lens.
Let's just say even before a kid. Like, before the kid.
Yeah, what are you going to do, bro? It's like, okay, I thought we were in this for the long haul, but clearly you have another fucking, you know? And that's my other issue, like, you know, because Italians, similar to Persians, we don't open up and have real discussions a lot. You know what I mean? So in my relationships, I've always tried to be like, I know this sounds dumb, but like let's say monthly. Like, I'm like, hey, we're still at the same place because if, you know, I don't need all of a sudden in 6 months, you're just like, yeah, no, it's been a while now that I've been thinking that you're a fucking loser. So I'm going to start dating black dudes because I feel like that's my new flavor. Like, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm always talking to dudes that are in relationships that they'll all of a sudden, their girlfriend is like, they're not down. She hasn't been down for a year. It's like, well, what are you doing? Are you guys checking in emotionally? Things are going, like, you know what I mean? It's very easy for people to start going a different direction. It's very noticeable when people are stop interested in you and this and that, you know?
You know what's crazy though, Matt? I love that you say that. Oh my God. Because not to keep bringing it back to myself, but the girl I was seeing, dude, it was like as if I was talking to a table. Like some people, dude,
they start checking out.
Dude, it's weird. I don't know what it is, but some people really can't communicate. Like they can't, there's like this weird, like.
Did my wife tell you to say this on this podcast? Because that's fucked. That's been, like, I argued about that like last night. It's crazy.
Dude, what do you think about that? Because some people, I don't know if it's like you're genetically not able to, or you got hit in the head with a baseball bat 57 times.
Dude, no one can communicate. It's not some people can. Some, like 99% of people cannot actually communicate. And I swear to God, that's just the way they were raised. 90% of them. Like my grandmother, watching my grandmother with my kid and how much fun they have in this and that. She's incapable of saying, I love you. It's just not possible. Like she can't do it, you know? And when I say it, like I'll say it to her over and over again just to see if she can do it. I'll be like, okay, Nonna, I love you. See you later. She's like, okay. I'm like, hey, Nonna, I love you. I'll see you later. Yeah. Nonna, I love you. I gotta go. Okay. And I'm like, I'm not leaving until you say it. Get the fuck out of here. Shut up. I don't need to say that garbage. Like, because, you know, and then, you know, the other day she like broke down and was crying about it because it's been an issue with her and my mom. You know what I mean? And like her and my uncle. And I'm like, what's with you? She's like, oh, she was like, listen, my dad never, our parents, like, there was just never, we didn't say that. It was like, it's obvious. I'm your grandmother, of course. But why would I don't have to tell you that. You should know. And it's like, well, how would I know if you never say anything? You know what I mean? So like when they're built in this like tough love era and all that bullshit, they shut down to that emotional side. That's why, you know, probably your dad or uncles or whatever, they're all in that. They were raised by these people, right? So our parents, that whole generation, it's tough love. It's, you know, men do this, women do this. It's, you know, they're still not very progressive. There's no opening up because if you do, you're a bitch, so on and so forth, right? So we're kind of like, you know, my sister said this to me the other day. She's like, you're like the first generations of like hands-on dads and hands-on fatherhood. The expectation is there for you to be hands-on as well. Whereas before buddy, my dad was like on business trips steady. You know what I mean? He was always working. I saw my dad on weekends and nights, you know what I mean? Sometimes not at all, you know? So like for me to be changing diapers, my fucking grandfather is laughing in my face. He's like, look at you change a diaper. You're the fucking pathetic. Go to work, let her do it, right? And it's just like, okay, well, Nonna is a disaster now in her old age because you didn't help out at all, you know? And my grandfather's telling me straight that like he spent more time with my kid than his own kids. And it's fucking him up. You know what I mean?
Well, then how did you become the anomaly? How did you like separate yourself from all that? Because like if your grandmother raised your mother to, you know, be like that, and then and in theory your mom would raise you without saying I love you or showing you affection. How did you deviate from that?
Well, that generation, like I feel like my mom's a like unbelievably emotional individual. So she raised me, right? My dad, I'm not going to say my dad didn't raise me, but like not as hands-on, you know, but comes from like ridiculous emotional issues where his parents didn't do all that. So they tried to be a little bit more, hey, I love you, you know what I mean?
Right.
So then obviously we are even more so, but you know, we're growing up in a world of choice, a lot of choice for anything, you know? Like my grandparents, when I asked my nonno, I'm like, hey, what did you want to do? He's like, what do you mean? I'm doing what I'm doing. Like to be like, what did you want to do as an adult? He can't even like, he's like, yeah, I came here, found some work, we left the war, you know what I mean? Like there was no like, I could be a singer, I could be a painter, you know what I mean? I wanted to sing, like, you know what I mean? Like it took me a solid hour and a half to be like, okay, if the war didn't happen and you had $1 million in the bank, like if a genie came down and he could say you could be a professional something, what would it be? He's like, oh, singer, I'd love to be a singer. Can you sing? No, really. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like my nonna, same thing. She's like, I wish I went to school. You know, I stopped at grade 3. I wish I went all the way to university, and I wish I could have been, you know, something. I was good at math. I wanted to see where that went, you know? They didn't have the option. So I feel like as the generations went down, and then, you know, our parents, they had a little bit more of a choice. Their parents sacrificed, then our parents sacrificed. I'm a fucking comedian. Like, you think that would have happened 40 years ago?
Right.
I'd be Charlie Chaplin. Like, you know what I mean? Like how many of those were there? It was like 1 in a million per se, you know? So I don't know, unless you were back in those days, if you were in entertainment, you were kind of then born into entertainment. You know what I mean? Like if you're, I don't want to get into the history of comedy, but that's usually how it was, you know? So
your mom like saw like how she was raised and how I mean, more negative it was the way she was raised. So she made it like a conscious decision. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be way different than.
Well, yeah, I feel like everyone goes, okay, well, I'm not gonna do what my parents did to me. Now, obviously, you're a byproduct of your environment, so you kind of do a little bit of both. You know what I mean? Like we turn into our parents a little bit, unfortunately. So, like I'm seeing my parents slowly morph into my grandparents, but they're still completely different from my grandparents. So you kind of always got to remind them, hey, now you're being like so-and-so and so on. So like, you know, I feel like it's a little bit of a balance.
Right. It's just, yeah, man, like I see it a lot with, I don't know, because I'm very interested in people that are very like, give off this stone cold sociopathic energy where they don't have any emotions and they're not very affectionate. Going back to like, you know, the girl I was seeing, like she was very like I told her a story about how like I got a wristband made for me and the person that made it for me, she OD'd after, right? And I said that, and it was in a group setting, and the 2 other people in the group were like, "Oh my God, Mom, I'm so sorry." She just sat there in complete silence, right? And I'm just thinking, like, how does someone become like that? And like, my therapist and my buddy told me this thing, and I don't know if like this makes any sense, but you don't know what you don't know. So what I mean by that is like when she was raised, or however someone is raised, and they're not getting the attention and affection and the love from their dad, mostly their dad, like with women, like, you know how you hear daddy issues, like, right? So the way they so like when their dad is treating them with neglect and like not like emotion, like just tough love and no emotional affection or anything, that girl
expects that treatment.
Like she sees like, okay, this is what a man is. Like this is what a guy is. And this
Believe
is
me, bro, when you have kids, that's going to just ring in your fucking dome.
Really?
Well, yeah, like that's the only reason why I do anything with my kid. Cause I'm just like, okay, I'm the first male figure in her life. So anything that I do is then going to be an expectation, right? That's why you get compared to, oh, well, my dad can do that. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, my dad's stronger than yours. Like you're the first like male figure in their head,
yeah,
right? So then you're getting every other guy's being compared to you after that. You know what I mean?
So like when you treat your daughter with love and affection and give her attention and focus on her, she's going to grow up to think, okay, like this is how men are, and I need to reciprocate that same energy, you know? Because it's this weird psychology thing where it's like if they don't grow up with that, they then take it out on the next guy they start seeing or the next in their relationships or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna touch on two things because one of the hardest lessons I feel like I've had to digest is what you're saying with like they don't know what they don't know. It's people in general. I find they're born a certain way or their personality traits are like this where they're just not as emotional as you or they're just not as aggressive as you or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like some people are just aggressive pieces of shit, whether raised or not. Like I struggle with this all the time. Like watching my kid grow up, I'm like, okay, how is she born this way or is this something that she was taught? You know what I mean? And then taught by who? Because I'm here all the time. Do you know what I'm saying? Is this something that I've passed down unconsciously? You know what I mean? Like you start being like, well, fuck, where did she learn how to do this? Like I saw my kid fucking hitting people a lot. And I'm like, you're not even a year. And I'm not hitting anybody. Your mom's not hitting, like, you know what I mean? Next thing you know, I see her and my nonna in the basement, and my nonna's like, slapping on, like, and she's teaching my kid how to hit people. Then my kid goes to swimming, grabs a kid, and just fucking slaps this kid. And you're like, okay, right? So then I have to be like, okay, nonna, don't fucking hit this, like, don't tell her to hit. But then there's also like, my kid's personality was like very noticeable at like 2-3 months. You know what I mean? They're a potato. They can't even fucking move, but they're doing things and saying things or like whatever that you're like, okay, you're starting to see her personality come out, right? So there's a balance of both where, dude, some people are just born to not fucking get it. You know what I mean? There's some people that are just in space.
Space cadets.
Spaceballs.
Dude,
and I'm noticing that more people I meet, the more I'm realizing that a lot of people are in fucking space. And I'm just grateful I'm not in fucking space. But to them, they look at us and go, buddy, you're in space. Like your uncle.
Do you think they think that about us?
100%. Your uncle looks at you and goes, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, he doesn't get it. And he talks to his buddies and go, look, my nephew doesn't get it. And they're all like, 100%, I agree. And we're sitting here going, they don't fucking get it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's this circle of no one fucking can understand anybody else.
Right.
And a lot of it is communication based that you're saying. People they can't break this wall. They weren't taught to have these discussions. And it's crazy.
It's crazy, man. And it's funny, like the same person wants to start a fucking podcast. I'm like, oh, really? You want to?
My manager said that it's possible to get following.
Dude,
like, of course.
Like, what are you going to talk about, man?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think your brain can process. Like, it literally. You know
what you should do? Send them mine and Nima's Persian Realtor podcast parody that we did and just send it to them. Be like, they already do it. It's already happening. You don't need to do it. You know what I mean? I don't know how Persian your uncle is. Like, I don't think he's that Persian, but maybe.
He's super Persian. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Lives in Richmond Hill, this guy?
No. He lives in Vancouver, but my cousin lives
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of it's weird how some people don't like this is how I like the best metaphor I can use is like, you know, the kiddie pools where the kids go in the pool and the water's at their ankles. Like that's the extent of gears turning. And it's like when people sometimes say things and they're like, oh, like I really want to go on a run, but like my stomach hurts and like I think it's from a sandwich I ate earlier. It's like, okay, yeah, like
there's no urgency.
It's crazy. I hate it. I think it's the worst.
That's why that's why you notice people gravitate to other people that are on the same fucking wavelength. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
We always give performance reviews of people just like, oh, you're not very good at this. You're not hitting your sales, or you're not very good at basketball. You need to get better at ball handling. Why can't we do that with people's personalities, man? Like some people, I look at them like, dude, you have no humor. You're so uninteresting. Like,
Yeah.
like are you just, did you not see enough life? Are you
Right.
like, be more interesting. Be more interesting, man.
Some people can't, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like some people are just stuck into this and they think it's
Men
all
and
fine.
women though. It's not just.
Of course. Yeah. They all like some people just think that they're, they're stuck, or some people think they're the greatest and we're looking at them being like, you are an uninteresting sack of sand. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. It's all, what do you call it?
Relative.
It's all relative to the individual.
But man, it's not. Some people really just don't get it.
Some
Like,
people just
I'm
don't
telling you,
have it and don't have it. And it's unfortunate. That's what I mean. We got to be grateful that we aren't those people. You know what I mean?
I really, dude, my biggest fear is
Be one of those people.
being one of those people, leaving an interaction and the other person thinking, wow, Mo is like boring or
Right.
or I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's just kind of like a space cadet. Like
Yeah.
That's my biggest fucking fear.
It's probably happened a lot.
You think so?
This is what I mean. It's probably happened on both sides. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't think you're that person. And I'm not going to walk away saying that. Right. But what I'm saying is like, I think some people live in a delusional state thinking that everyone likes them, everyone hates them. You know what I mean? Like, I do that all the time. Like, it was my biggest problem. If you hate me for whatever reason, I'll cancel my plans and make sure that I change your perception of me as much as possible. Some people look at me and go, I want to punch this fucking guy in the head. You know what I mean? It's the way it is.
Right.
And I've had people come up to me and tell me that. And I'm like, I thought we were good. I thought I was hilarious to you. You said that I'm great, whatever. They're like, nah, honestly, man, you're just a fucking loser.
No way. They've told you that.
You since day one. And I'm like, what did I do? They're like, nothing. I just want to punch you in the fucking head. Okay, great.
That seriously happened.
That happened. What am I going to do? And I thought me and this guy were cool since high school. I saw him. Haven't seen him since high school. He goes, man, I wanted to tell you, like, I've just fucking always thought you're a piece of shit, bro. You're a fucking loser. I don't like you. And I'm like, what happened, dude? Like, what? Dude. I thought we were good. He's like, man, you're just, you know what I mean? I just want to fucking, I'm like, what do you mean, bro? He's like, you have that punchable face.
Oh, wow. He came up to you straight to your face and said
I haven't seen him in like fucking 10 years. And he's like, oh, I see what you're doing. I started like, now he likes my videos, right? He's like, oh man, when you did this, that was great. And like, dude, it took a while because like, I just started following you now, man. And I like, because I hated you for years. Right? You come up and go, buddy, you're so disarming, you're jolly, whatever the fuck you said, whatever the word was that you said. Right? But someone else looks at me and goes, I want to fucking kick this guy in the face.
Huh. Do you respect him more for doing that?
Not really.
Not really? Yeah.
No, I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Because I didn't do anything to this guy. It's all in his fucking head. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying.
It's a him issue. It's not you. I mean,
exactly. So like when you sit here and have an issue in your head with what other people are going to think, you have no idea what they're going to think and you're never going to know. It doesn't fucking matter. Do you know what I mean?
How'd you get over that? It's such a basic
I don't
question.
Get over
That's
it.
the worst question.
But that's what I mean. I don't. It's every time I have to remind myself that this fucking guy probably doesn't matter to me at all. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to spend time in my head thinking about what he thinks when he's not thinking about me at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some people you just can't save. You just can't save them. They're the way.
Well, and you can't change their mind anyways. You can't change their perspective. You like, it's all in their head. And like there's that famous quote about like, you spend your time thinking about what other people thought just to realize that they weren't thinking about you at all. You know what I mean? You never know. So don't spend your fucking time being like, oh, this guy think I'm a dick. Who fucking cares? If we leave here and I thought you were a dick this whole time, what does it matter?
I would think about it.
Of course you would think about it.
I'm seriously going to think about it after this. I'm going to think, what
don't
did Mark
think about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because like, what is it? Now, for the record, I don't think you're a dick.
Thanks, man.
But let's say, when you leave, if you spend 5 hours thinking that I was a dick, you've just wasted your time. You know what I mean? Like, what does it matter? Okay, I thought you know what I mean? Let's just play it out. You're in your head. Mark thought I was a dick. Okay. Hey, man, I think you're a dick. Now what? What did I do to think I was a dick? You know what I mean? You're going to dissect everything and it's over. Like,
if you straight up told me that, I would ask you why.
Of course.
And then you would get into it. You'd be like, I just don't like your face. It's very punchable.
This is what I mean. Like,
right?
Which you can't change. You're not going to do anything about. It is what it is.
Right.
Who gives a shit? I know it's not that simple. Do you know what I mean? Because I've been in your shoes 100 times where I sit there because I'm going to leave the same thing. I'm going to leave and be like, this girl thinks we're both fucked.
Yeah, straight up. That's
Mark
one thing.
Simone's going to be like, Mark, he's part of this place. He's going to be like, buddy, what were you doing? You guys had a therapy session. What, you know what I mean? I'm not putting out any of those clips. I know, like, they will, obviously. But, like, I constantly think about these things as well. But at the end of the day, like, none of it matters.
None of it, right?
There's something freeing in that. Like, because that bothers me a lot, too. Or, like, I have a lot of friends that they're like, nothing matters in every scenario. And I'm like, okay, yes, nothing matters. But also, like, it matters. You know what I mean? Like, it's there's something, like, freeing that saying nothing matters because we all fucking die. We're on this planet for like seconds in the grand scheme of things. So who cares? You know what I mean? Just to separate yourself from that so you can focus on better positive thoughts.
I think, dude, it's the bridge between really giving a fuck and then getting over that other side where it's literally like point blank. It's so much harder than said than done, but just, I don't give a fuck. It's more so for me, I think it's like losing someone, right? Like losing someone, whoever may be, a friend or a relationship, an ex or anyone, that's the hardest thing. And that's what gets me all in my head, right? Like, what is this person thinking? Is this person done with me? Was that it? Should I have said something differently? Is this what's going to get this person over the edge and completely ignore me and act different? That's my biggest fear, like losing people, But
in the end of the day, it was a necessary evil to get you to where you are now. You know what I mean? So you have to look at it. And again, I would tell you this if you were my brother or best friend or whatever, because I've been like, a lot of people have gone through losses in my life. And even for myself, in the relationship when it's done, probably 6 months before it's done. You know what I mean? You can tell when it's finished. So when you move on, you got to be like, okay, that person was necessary in my life for where I was at and what was going on. But to move forward, if you know it's done, you don't want to be with somebody who's emotionless and hears your bracelet story and goes, yeah, whatever, bro, that's fucking gay. Like, you don't want to be with somebody, right? You don't want to be with somebody who's like that. So it's very obvious that person now is not in your future. You know what I'm saying? So you have to switch your mindset. And dude, to me, mindset is fucking everything in life, period. Like for me, like I have a daily mantra I say fucking as many times a day as I can in my head to remind myself on what the fuck is going on and where I want to get to, because the shit that's already happened, like, I have people that still live in high school in their brains. And I'm like, buddy, we were smoking weed every 5 minutes for 4 years straight. Like, the fact that you're still like, bro, what you did to me in high school is fucking crazy. We were taking creatine scoops dry while doing poppers, like in your Civic. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, people grow. I don't think people change, but they grow and evolve a little bit. So to think that like you should hold on to anything from back in the day because you did something, like, yeah, bro, how old are you now?
28.
28. When you were 21, are you the same guy, even remotely close?
Not even close.
Okay, what about 25?
No.
Oh, exactly.
No.
And in 3 to 5 years, it's going to be the same.
Completely different.
Yeah, right? You're going to be a different guy. So, like, you can sit here all day and be like, yeah, when I was dating this girl, I should have this, I should have that. When I was fucking her and my dick went fucking limp, I should have maybe not said that. Like, you could spend all day rehashing it, and there's nothing you could change about it.
Nothing.
That's what I mean. So you got to just be like, thanks for being back then. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
See you later.
It's just, like with that specific example, man, it's...
The limp dick got you, eh?
Dude. Because then...
I remember my first time. Yeah, man, when my dick went... Yeah, it's the worst, dude. What are you going to do?
Because then you just like...
You want to say something to make it better, and then there's nothing you can say.
There's nothing. Because the other person knows you're in mental shambles.
Yeah.
Like, it's so visible that you're like dying.
Dude, I so bad want to rope her into this and be like, has that happened to you? And what do you say? You know what I mean? Because I can only imagine from a girl's perspective on how much of a disaster it is. You know what I mean? Because they can feel that we're just becoming a mental just cascade of nightmares. You know what I mean? So what do you do?
Oh, fuck.
And they just want nothing to be said at all, because if you start talking, they're like, buddy, just shut up. It's what it is.
It's
just get out of here.
Oh man, man.
Am I wrong? Am I right? No, that's
What do
beautiful.
you What do you think about that? Can you actually?
When dudes go limp in the bedroom, is it what would you rather them say nothing or give you some sort of like, hey, listen, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I personally, honestly, never experienced that.
That's fantastic.
But I feel like if that was happening and he didn't say anything,
Right.
what the fuck are we doing? Like staring at each other?
Right.
Like,
You need to know that it's
I
not.
would probably say something.
Right. You want to know that it's not you or this, and that, and the other. She's like, it ain't
it's
me,
never
brother.
me. It ain't me.
It ain't
Never
me, bro.
that.
It's you.
But
Right.
would you, if the guy was clearly like embarrassed and like visibly in like shambles, would you feel bad for him, or you'd be like, wow, you're a pussy? Like, what would you think?
No, I don't think I would say, wow, you're a pussy. I would probably
You'd be like,
bad
what's
because-
going? What's
Would you-
going on?
Would you give the guy another chance?
Oof.
Ma-
Okay, wait. So this is like the first time that this is
The
happening?
first time,
Or your
like the
first
first time you
hookup?
guys are hooking up. Let's say you guys are or let's say you guys are friends beforehand, and
This is hilarious.
yeah,
'Cause
quite
there's so many
literally talking
variables.
about.
I would, if this happened the first time, I would probably give it a second chance because you don't know.
Hmm.
Like, what if he's really nervous?
Right.
Right? Like, what if he's had a bad morning and he just didn't tell me? Or what if he's going
Oh,
through something?
dude.
Or
See, man?
friends
Oh.
first, and then maybe he's
Right.
wanted this to happen for so long and like
Hmm.
he's nervous. So I wouldn't write it off after the first time because you don't really
Right.
know. So a second chance, yes.
Yeah,
Third chance.
Third and
It really depends
Yeah.
on the scenario.
third. But if it's like 3 for 3, then like
yeah, you
Word up.
can his ass.
Like, you can't
immediately.
handle it.
No, yeah.
yeah. Or maybe you guys have to have like a talk because, and then maybe he would get comfortable if he's like nervous.
That's what my therapist said. Yeah.
What about it's a relationship for a long time? There's nothing you can do.
And then just like all of a sudden, like one time, he's like, it's not happening.
Yeah. What do you?
Maybe it's something deeper. Maybe we have to have a real fucking conversation and sit down. Like, why all of a sudden?
Bro,
Are you
I don't know.
fighting?
I don't know why. When I get hot, like if it's hot in the room, I'm finished, bro. I can't. Like if I start dripping sweat and it's like hot and like bodies get like sticky, I'm like, buddy, forget it.
But if that's like
Done.
a common theme,
Right.
and it happens only when you're hot, then like I'm sure your wife isn't gonna worry. You're not gonna worry.
Of course.
And she's
no.
not going to judge you about it. She's going to be like, oh,
No,
well,
well,
Mark's hot.
dude, I'm
He's-
very vocal in the not okay. I'm not vocal like meaning like I'm like a loud fucker. I just mean like if it's hot and we're I'm like, brother, like I'll stop right there and be like, dude, it's way too hot. Turn this fan on. Get the fuck away from me. Like, you know what I mean? Like when it gets hot and grow, like I can't, you know, you start
Right,
sweating and you're
right.
like, this is disgusting. You know what I mean?
Okay. So my thing is I was thinking on the spot. I just came up with the fact that I just told her I jerked off twice earlier that day because that was
Hilarious.
that, and the fact that I was I think she knew I was nervous.
So, but this is what I mean. There's also those things like people don't know that a lot of times guys jerk off so that they don't finish
Dude.
quick before, you know what I mean?
yeah,
People don't know
but
that.
people don't realize that
And
it
then
could
you
come.
wanted to go extra long, so you doubled down. You
But-
should have had a day to recharge, man.
I know, dude. I should have though. I should have.
No, dude, two is a lot.
Yeah, because my buddy's like, well, dude, like just do it in the morning and then you got time to like recharge. I'm like, dude, it doesn't work that way.
But there's
for me.
nothing to
It doesn't-
recharge.
Yeah, there's no recharging. It's just my
There's like maxes and minimums. Do you know what I mean?
exactly,
You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, fuck my buddy.
dude. Yeah.
So this is a random person that you want to. Should we
Well,
talk to her?
no,
Should we
not
get her on
even-
the phone right here in the
she's-
podcast?
She's not random at all though. That's the thing. That's the part where it makes it worse.
Where you're like, yeah, right. It's a friend
like
and
she's
telling all your
super
buddies.
sweet. I appreciate her. I really like.
But
I
that's
respect her. You know
That's what I mean. You don't want
It's
to
not-
fuck it up.
I don't want to fuck it up. And I think the fact that I really didn't want to fuck it up and the fact that I was so like, oh my God, this is happening. Done,
You can't
dude.
get in your head, man. That's the only reason why. So a buddy of mine wasn't a therapist because I switched from therapy to like, I don't want to say life coach because I hate that term, but like one of those type of dudes. And I was like, we need to master getting out of my head. So when I'm starting to get there, I need to get out of there. Like not sexual, or I mean, lump that in, sure. But any times that happens, do you know what I mean? Where you can go in and out of getting in your head.
How do you
'Cause
do
it
that?
fucks up
Please,
everything.
God, tell
Yeah,
me.
I don't know. I just don't. That's what I mean. It's all a mindset. You just have to constantly be, because once it starts, you're like, see you later. So you have to make,
Spiral, man.
yeah, you got to make sure you don't even get on the playground to go down the slide. That's it.
What's the mantra you tell yourself every day?
It's long. It's a long one.
What is it?
It's all just like words of like gratefulness, abundance, positive this and that.
Does that get you out of your head, or
For the most part, because I try to stay in the same lane. You know what I mean? Even like with drugs and alcohol, like if I know that, like, for example, like if I'm going to do shrooms, which doesn't happen often, but if I know I'm going to go down that road where like you're going to lose a lot of control, I'm putting myself in a scenario where that's possible. Like I'm at a cottage by myself, 1 or 2 people. Like I'm not like in the city about to do a show. You know what I mean? Like I try to make sure I'm limiting all risk.
right? Got you.
Same with blow. You know what I mean? Not that I've done any blow at all, or like, you know what I mean? I don't do it. But like the times where did it, it was like, okay, this is a risk-free scenario.
Right. Everything's in place for me to be healthy and alive.
Yeah, to make it out of this without fucking shit up permanently.
Any long-term complications.
Exactly.
Right. Dude, what your Canadian dad, Gary
Yeah, Gary and Bobbert.
Dude.
Bobbert and Glenn, actually.
Bobbert and Glenn, so good, dude. It's top tier. I think it's
so?
you need to do more of that. Please.
I know, me and Austin haven't done that in a long time. And Nima.
How did you get into that Nelk thing with Kyle?
Oh man, that was all Austin. I had nothing to do with that. But like Austin and them have had a relationship for a while, you know, and they came back here to do the Happy Dad Canadian launch. So they reached out to a bunch of Canadian hockey influencers, you know, and then Austin wrote me into it being like, hey man, I think he would be great as this ref who can't skate and is like a disaster. And they were like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. And then they just looped it in. It was great. Great
so
dudes.
sick.
They're clearly on like another level. Like when you talk to them, they're like, okay, you know.
What do you mean by that? That's interesting.
Like they're just, dude, like I thought the shoot wasn't going to happen because I'm checking their Instagram and it's like, okay, you were in Miami and now all of a sudden you're in like Dallas and tomorrow morning we shoot. How does that work? You know what I mean?
They're just savages.
Dude, it's like every 3 days they're going somewhere else. And like these guys are moving on a different plane. Like they have a team and all members are going to the next place. Like these guys do not stop. They're traveling. Like I think Buddy was telling me they took like over 100 flights last year. It's like, that's insane.
Jesus, man.
So like when you're on that next level and like they hustle to another level, it's crazy to see. It's
That's
like,
crazy.
You know, you're talking to them like, and I'm just trying to be like, you know, buddies with them in the moment so that they don't think I'm a fucking idiot. That's one of those moments where like, fuck, I don't want this guy to think I'm a loser.
Yeah.
You know, so you just have to focus on, hey, I do what I do. I'm going to do what I do. And that's it. If they think I'm this, whatever. So, but they, when you're talking to them, I can just tell I'm like, half of this guy's brain is not even here. Like, he's like, okay, we got to.
It's in Vegas for 2 days.
Well, like he's got to, no, not from like what just happened,
No,
from
but
like
like
what's
what he's gonna-
happening. Next. You know, it's like fucking Dana White's texting you and Trump is on the phone. Like, it's another level stuff, you know?
Right.
They're planning 82 different launches in 4 countries. Like, you're like, dude, I don't even know how you guys sleep at night.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
How was he? What was your interaction with it? Did you interact with him?
Yeah,
With
I mean,
Kyle?
we did the sketch.
Yeah.
Like they just showed up. We started filming. We were running through it. We ran through everything, and he was great,
Chill guy.
chill guy. Everyone there was fucking just like thrilled to even be a part of the whole thing. So everyone was in like great spirits. And then they're like, "All right, man, see you guys later." And that was it.
In and out. Do your job. In and out.
In and
Boom.
out, gone. Yeah.
Probably went to Dubai to fucking meet up with his.
I mean, they had like a run of like they were doing Barry and like they did like a bunch of stops in Ontario.
like the launch.
The
tour or
Happy
whatever.
Dad thing, and then they took off. But do they operate in like mass? Like they've got loads of people at all times, everywhere. I don't know who handles that. Like I'd love to be a fly on the wall for the interworkings of the whole operation. It's like who's planning all these flights?
Yeah.
Who's planning where you go next? Your personal assistant must be a team of like 12 people.
That's insane.
And there's also like 50 girls at all times that are all rockets always. I'm like,
did he bring girls on set?
no, not at that shoot, but like when we went out the next day or now, I'm like, where is this? Like, where are these girls coming from? You know what I mean?
Mm.
There's like 50 girls, a bunch of big dudes that are like secure. Like you just have a fleet of like the operation. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, are they hired? What's going on here?
What's going on? What is this? Like,
Where did these girls come from?
Uh-huh.
Are they paid to be here? Like, you know what I mean? I'd love to know how it all works, because there's easily 100 people, maybe like 50 to 100 people at all times.
Just
The moving parts.
Right.
You know what I
so
mean?
many moving parts. Yeah.
It's just constant.
And Kyle is just kind of like the face of it now. He doesn't really do much. He doesn't do like the back end things. He just
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
He must. You know what I mean?
he must have
do-
something to do with it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like partners involved, and like, you know, there's clearly a bunch of smart business minded people behind it, because it moves seamlessly and often. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to plan like a tour and moving around, but like it's chaos. Like, you know what I mean? It's a different mind that needs to be doing that. You know?
What does it feel like when people approach you?
Feels great.
It feels great, huh?
Feels good.
That's what I mean, man. People are always like, fuck, it's so annoying. It would suck to be that guy to get always approached.
No, man. That's the greatest.
It's greatest, right?
Well, it's because like, you know, I'm working towards more and more of that. So it's like I said, you know, there's people that have come up to me being like, dude, you saved my life. I was going to kill myself today, and then I didn't because I got lost in the scroll on your videos, and then I just went on my day laughing.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, that's fucked.
That's it. That's all you...
Right? You know, or like some people, I get a lot of this where like people are like, oh, I watch your Nonno videos because my grandparents passed away, and like you sound exactly like them. And it brings back good memories. Thanks for your videos. Keep making more of those. Like what other compliment can you get? You know what I mean? It's like, I make this person's day for what I'm doing. How can I not be grateful? How can I not take a picture? How can I not say hello if they want to meet me or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're a dick if that's the case. You know? So like, I feel grateful that I'm in the position. So when people want to have a chat after a show, when I'm like, sorry, bro, fuck off. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
He might kill himself tomorrow. Good job. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
you know, when you put in perspective the guy who didn't because he saw you, you know what I mean? It's fucking insane that you have that much like sway on people's moods sometimes, you know?
Right. No, I was actually telling my producer back home, I was like, dude, 'cause we always like creep you and we always watch your videos.
Right,
he
right.
loves you too. And
Tell him what
I'm
like,
like, dude,
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. It's the guy you met. Remember the guy with that hairdo? Yeah.
Man bun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
was man bun, right? It was a man bun?
No, it was like, it's like bold and like there's just like a patch of hair. I remember you said,
Oh, yeah,
you
that's
never, like,
right. Yeah, I was calling Ronaldo and shit or whatever. Right? Yeah. I remember.
We were talking about, dude, man, like,
What was his name?
Alex,
yeah.
exactly. There's been times where I've been in a mood, man, just like depressed kind of home, and I just go through your videos, and
That's
all. I mean, with that, when people tell you that, is that still your intent, or does it ever get blurred to where you're doing it for the wrong reasons, like to get more famous, more money? But is it still on that?
I mean, the goal is always, you know, get as big as I can, obviously. But like, you know, my initial goal is like, okay, I need to make enough money so that I can live, support, you know what I mean, and all that, and have like an actual career out of this. That's goal one. That's already happening, so that's great. And then from there, it's just like, you know, there's some times where, you know, where you're like, okay, I'm never quitting this. I'm doing this forever. So I'm just like locked into that. Wherever it goes, it goes. Great. Obviously, it's always on the up and up, so whatever. But, you know, there's a lot of people, when you're used as an example, that sometimes kind of gives me that extra motivation. Like, I was listening to this guy talk to a bunch of guys from my high school who are in my high school now, like at the high school that I went to. And then this is one of my old teachers. He was using me as an example for the kids for this like digital class of some sort. And I was like mind blown. Like, I just happened to, you know, hear the discussion because I was at the school. And then he was like, yeah, you got to go and see what they're doing. Like, and he's using me as an example. He brings me in, and I was just like, buddy, I almost failed high school for the record. Do you know what I mean? And like, so then to be used as an example as to like, hey, go a less traveled route and this and that and the other. I then in my head, I'm like, okay, well, now you can't quit because like people are counting on you to continue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when people count on you to continue to represent this less traveled road, if you quit, they're all going to be like, okay, well, this kid was just telling his parents that he can do it because you're doing it. So if you stop doing it, they're going to be like, see, he failed and you suck. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you kind of have to, I keep that in my head to be like, no, you have to keep going.
Right.
You know,
you're kind of at the point of no return now. You're in it. You can't.
mean,
there's no
and
stopping.
And that was the case from day one. I was always like, this is what I found what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm doing it. And that's that.
That's cool, man. Just being used as an example, because it's a full circle moment. You never thought you would be like an example.
No,
that a
and
teacher
it's insane. Like, you know, and you always feel like you're gonna be like later. You know what I mean? Like when you're on another level, or like you're much older. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, only athletes and other people are used in that context, or like people that are like retired and out of the game, or that are like in their 60s. You know, so when it's like, I don't feel like I'm the most successful. I'm not a massive deal in this and that, and I'm also 30 something. Like, you know, it's puts things in perspective.
I know you kind of alluded to this kind of before, but how do you ground yourself when you get to that, like, oh, I'm 30 something, I'm not at a Kevin Hart level? Is it just kind of,
it's the worst, dude. That is a struggle all the time, because I'm constantly just like, okay, you know, when Kevin Hart was 33, he was fucking like 2 specials deep on Netflix, like on a different level. You know what I mean? Soul Plane already came out. Like, he was already on a different playing field, you know? So you kind of have to be like, okay, well, also Bill Burr was 36, 37 when things popped off. Or Sebastian was, you know, almost 40. Russell Peters was doing it for 25 years before he popped off. Like shit like this, you know? So when you look at it, like, you have to just be like, all right, you're on your own journey. Things are going to go the way they go as they go. You don't really have much control of that. You know what I mean? So I try to kind of just, comparing yourself just is the worst for your mentality.
it's the worst, dude.
Yeah,
it's
you can't.
the worst.
Yeah, because, you know, like, I have a kid, I'm a dad. Was Kevin Hart a kid? Like, was, you know, Bill Burr was at that point, but did he have kids? Was he married? No. Like, you know what I mean? So like, it's different for everybody. So, you know, and I also feel like some people just come into their own later. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of a late bloomer. Like even myself, like I wasn't really sure of myself on stage. Like when I go and listen to my old jokes, I can tell that I was nervous or not confident, or like really stretching with certain jokes or making up shit entirely. And I'm like, this is garbage. Like I look back and go, thank God I didn't blow up 5 years in, or do you know what I mean? Because I wasn't ready for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you kind of have to be at a point where you're good enough to move on. I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's weird.
And do you ever just look back on it and be like, damn, I came all this way. Like, that's cool. Just for me, not even for whatever fame or recognition I'm getting, but just to see how much I've improved, like in my craft, like that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually why I put out my comedy album, which is like a vinyl album, like double vinyl, like a record. I made that. I had no reason to make it. I spent way too much money on it. I fucking, you know, but it's like 2 hours of stand-up that I'm like, okay, all these jokes are good, in my opinion. And the vinyl is what I have to show for it, because it's like a tangible thing. It's not, hey, chicken on Spotify. And like, you know, I listened to comedy albums back in the day and shit. Like, you know, that was the first way of comedy. So like, I kind of made it for myself as like okay, you have an achievement here. You know what I mean? So I did it for me just to be like, I did it, you know? So yeah, I feel like it's important to give yourself a little like, I'm doing this for me moments. Like, you know, a lot of guys buy a Rolex when they get real rich. You know, they go, you know what, fuck that. This is my milestone gift for me to me type thing. You know?
One thing, I mean, this isn't.
How are we doing on time? I have no
idea.
idea.
5 minutes? 5 minutes? Okay, dude.
Hilarious.
Why, and at least this is something I'm very interested in, why are all hockey players the most boring human beings in terms of just like interviews? Like if you...
They get hit, bro.
Dude, but not even the head that much, bro. Like McDavid, when he talks, it's as if like he's a zombie.
I mean, they're all media trained.
Is that what it is? Because it just seems like they fit this script and this role to a T, where it's like...
Well, I met McDavid a few times, and like he's fucking like, dude, even talking to him, he came to me and Nima's show in Edmonton, and he came like escorted like the Oilers basically to the back, and just they all hung out with us before the show.
Yeah.
Dude, you couldn't ask him anything without it sounding like an interview, bro. It was crazy. Like, I'm like, you know, because I'm like, yo, do you handle your social media? He's like, no. I'm like, how come? He's like, it's pretty wild. And then I was like, oh, it's like what, death threats? And he's like, yeah, it's pretty toxic. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, how do you like, you know, what's it like being fucking the current GOAT, I guess. Yeah, it's pretty good. The guys are, he goes right into
Dude,
it's almost
that
like
is so funny.
he's got like a, because you couldn't really get him to open up with you because there's the risk that I'm going to tell people, like I'm doing, that he said something that was offside or this or that or the other. Like these guys have a shield.
But man, I think him in particular he is like that though in everyday life, even with his wife.
Dude, first year in the league, getting death threats. Like the guy was telling me straight up, it's like, bro, you don't understand what my Instagram DMs look like. You lose a game and people are like, I lost my house betting on you, you piece of shit. You fucked up my marriage. Like, I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine you got 50 DMs of fat fucks drinking fucking Coors Light being like, you piece of shit. I lost my farm because you didn't score the goal. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what these guys are dealing with at like 19, 18.
True, yeah.
It's crazy. So, like, they got to put on the blinders and they've got fucking 15, 20,000 people every night booing the shit out of them.
Booing the fuck out of them, yeah.
Yeah. Or hoping that they're going to win. Like, even your own fan base, they're cheering you on, but they're like, bro, we're paying you this much and we lost again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they're in a different stratosphere of pressure.
Yeah, I see that. Even with basketball players, but man, hockey, like McDavid is just, because
hockey, like, you got to understand, bro, the speed. Like, I don't know if you've been like, I'm not going to say if you've been to a hockey game, but like when you're like, I'm not sure how close you've been, but bro, they're flying.
They're flying.
They're flying. Like, even they're not getting hit in the head. Because some of these guys are like, yeah, sure, none of them are 300 pounds. But like Chara, for example, the guy's like 6'9", 280, 260, right? Somewhere in there. And he's hitting someone who's 5'11", 165. But whether I hit you in the head or not, you're going.
You're gone.
And he's going like 70 clicks, 80 clicks, 100 clicks. Like, some of these guys can skate up to like, the fucking speed of a car. And they just hammer you. Like, buddy, every night you're on the road 5 nights a week and you're getting hit that speed.
Forget it.
Your brain cells are fucking eggs, dude.
Expired, yeah.
Yeah. So then when they get on an interview after a period where,
you're giving
Zdeno Chara just hit you, you're like, the guys, we got to get back in the game. Fucking scoring. We got to score.
It really is like that, though.
Yeah, but of course. Like, I don't blame them. Like, I feel like half of them are fucking brain dead. And like a lot of them are like, they're trying to change the rules. Like, there's a lot of ex-hockey players that are now a part of like, what do you call them? Like companies and movements to try to make sure that guys aren't fucking fucked after they play their career. Because some of them, dude, are brain dead because they don't have the protection or they're getting hit. They're skating too fast. The hits are too heavy. Like,
Right.
So they're just mush.
Especially with McDavid.
What's it called? The concussion. There's like a concussion program for athletes. Like, dude, even guys in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Their lifespans are shorter. They have no brain cells. They get aggressive. They drink. They turn to drugs. Like, they don't. It's borderline our day and age, bro. Like, PTSD from the war. Where like they play 15 years getting hit all day long, that they're fucked after.
I hear that.
And then you wonder why like some guys in the NFL are like homeless dudes after. What's this guy going to do? Work at the brick and load fridges in your truck? Like, what kind of life is that?
I hear you. It's funny, man. It's just so fucking.
It's hilarious. I didn't mean to go serious on it.
No.
I just,
because there's this recent clip where McDavid was like, he was talking to like a panel of analysts, and there's this guy that like kind of like called him out or made a joke, and then McDavid was like, he made this stupid joke, like bare minimum. I'm telling you, like not even funny, and then like that was a clip, like it was like, ooh, McDavid showing a little personality, like They play that.
I feel so bad for athletes because, like I said, like a lot of these guys, they're good at the sport, right? And they're in that sport from when they're like really young, and that's it. So then when all of a sudden we're putting the camera on them and be like, we need a social media clip, like say something funny, Kawhi Leonard. And he's like, like he's laughing like a fucking idiot. And they all of a sudden that goes viral, right? Like they don't, and then next thing you know, he's in an interview being like, yo, you don't clip up my laugh again, man. Come on, that was, you know what I mean? Like they don't know how to handle. These guys aren't, it's rare that they're also a social personality and a great athlete. It's like, what do you want from these guys, bro?
Right. But when they have both, that's when it's like, okay, you're a god.
Yeah. Like fucking LeBron. Like the guy can do anything. He's in interviews talking like
He's a bit of a goof, though. I got my own thoughts about
Yeah,
him. He's
I
a
mean,
fucking
whatever.
clown.
You know what I mean?
He's such a goof. He's a
he's
cringe.
no Michael Jordan.
Dude, MJ was different. MJ was a good,
Yeah, I
tasty dish.
A good tasty dish.
Fuck, he was a handsome dish, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, man.
This is awesome.
I'm glad we made this work.
I'm so happy. Appreciate you, man. Dude, this thing had you dialed in.
Dude, you're gonna have to slow it down. I felt like I was just rambling.
That was
Whatever.
perfect.
Cool.
That was really hot.
It was really hot.
I say that to people.
Yeah,
I said
I
it
know.
to this girl, and she's like, "Please don't say that. It's weird." I'm like, "It's not what
because
you
of the way
think."
you sound.
Yeah.
Your voice is like levels of like, you know what I mean? It's like Chris
Am I
Griffin.
zesty? I sound very dead zesty.
I like to do your voice. Like I gotta manipulate my throat quite a bit. As fucked up as that sounds. Do you know what I mean? You should get into radio.
Do I? Should I?
Well, you're in radio right now.
I
I
am,
don't know what
basically.
we're saying. Yeah. Don't get into anything else. What you're doing is great. I feel like I pulled
I
my
love you,
dad.
man. I love you
Love
so
you
much.
too, bro. Thank you for this.